एक बार फिर से आप सभी का स्वागत। बी पार्ट थर्ड के विद्यार्थियों का। आज के वीडियो में हम सेकंड पार्ट की स्टोरी रेफ्यूजी बाय के अब्बास को डिस्कस करेंगे। इससे पहले के वीडियो में द रेफ्यूजी स्टोरी को हमने अबाउट द राइटर एंड अबाउट ए ब्रीफ summary of the story The Refugee by A.K.A. Abbas. In today's video we will discuss a critical summary of the story The Refugee by K.A. Abbas. This is a story on the life of Manaji, a mother who is forcibly moved from her ancestral house in Rawalpindi, Pakistan to Bombay due to partition of India and Pakistan. The historical event of the partition of 1947 serves as the background to the next. This event is referred to as a tragic storm by K.A. Abbas in the opening lines of the text. Partition of the British Indian Empire into the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and the Republic of India in 1947 is an historical event which forcibly moved thousands of people to both the nations is used as the setting of this essay. The story starts on a general note which talks about the physical movement of the people between nations during partitions and its effect on the economical, psychological, and political thoughts of the people. The author K.A. Abbas gives a personal touch to the essay when he introduces his own mother as a victim of partition along with several other mothers. One among these is Manaji, the protagonist, the main character of this essay. The rest of the story talks about the comfortable life of Manaji in Rawalpindi, where she owned a double-story building, churned butter and ghee, leased out land to farmers, and was blessed abundantly by her neighbors. All these comforts are broken when there is an announcement June 1947 about the impending partition. For simpletons like Manaji and her husband, who never knew what would happen to their life after the actual partition, this news did not make an impact. She would always innocently question, who will harass as here? And treated all Muslims who lived around her as her own children. The generosity and ignorance earned her the love and protection from neighbors who came forward to even keep watch over her house. Now the story shifts present life to Manaji as a refugee in Bombay. The author shows how she has moved into the smaller house but still takes efforts to maintain it spotlessly. Without servants, she is forced to do all her household chores. So this story shows the changed life of a simple mother in Rawalpindi to a pained refugee in Bombay. But K.A. Abbas says that this pain is associated with neither anger nor hatred, neither rancor nor self-pity, but only memories. This shows how Manazi has accepted reality but at the same time dwells on her memories, which show the intensity of human heart that accepts change. So, in The Refugee by K.A. Abbas, we have the theme of conflict, independence, loyalty, pride, resilience, and acceptance. Narrated in the first person by an unnamed narrator, the reader realizes after reading the story that Abbas may be exploring the theme of conflict. Manazi is forced to leave her home in Rawalpindi even though she would rather say where she is. However, things take a turn for worse when there are killings in Rawalpindi, a site that Manazi has never been seen before and which shocks her, leaving her with only one option but to travel to Bombay and live with her son. The setting of the story also may be important, as violence was widespread at the time and many innocent people like Manazi got caught up in the violence. Where once Manazi lived a prosperous life, she now lives as a refugee in Bombay. No longer does she have the land she once had or servants or she once had. She is confined to a one room home with her husband. It is also interesting that the tailor remains loyal to Manazi despite the risk he would face by doing so. Just as Manazi is disturbed by what is happening in Rawalpindi, so too is the tailor. There is also a sense that despite her circumstances, Manazi takes great pride in what she does in life. Though she may not be as wealthy as she once was, she still changes and improves the living arrangements of her son's home, making sure that it looks and feels like a home. This may be important as it suggests that Manazi may be not only accepting the circumstances she finds herself in, but that she is beginning to let go to wrongdoing that has occurred in Rawalpindi. If anything, Manazi will not be defeated by the circumstances she finds herself in. She appears to be able to rise above the conflict and continue on with her life to the best of her ability. However, it is noticeable that at times when Manazi can long for Rawalpindi and get upset, something that would be very natural for a refugee to do. To long for their home again, particularly if they did not want to leave their home in the first place. The fact that Manaji adapts so well to her new environment might be important, as this would suggest that she is resilient and has the ability to be independent. It may also be significant that Manaji is in complete control of her life and her family's life while she is living in Bombay. She takes changes which would further suggest to reader that Manaji is resilient. There is also an element of sadness in the story when Manaji realizes that she has no option but to move to Bombay. She will miss her neighbors more than anything, and there is a sense that Manaji cannot understand how ordinary people with no interest in politics have got involved in the turmoil that is occurring. This may be important as Manaji is not the only one who has to abandon her home due to partition of India, the country carved up by the politicians based on religious divisions, where Manaji has not just a neighbor due to their religious beliefs. She herself is being judged by religious beliefs and such is forced to move to Bombay. Something which may highlight to the reader the possibility of animosity between separate religious groups. An animosity that is noticeable when one of Manaji's neighbor and horse is killed because of his religious authenticity. Manaj is so shocked by the killing that she knows that she herself for her own safety has to move to Bombay, a place that is alien to her but which she tries her best not only adapt to but to make her home. It might also be important to remember that Manaji has no real alternative but to move to Bombay. Such is the way that India was seen partitioned. An individual's life totally changed by politicians because of religious hostilities and differences within India. If anything, Manaji and her husband are innocent victims of their circumstances, as too were millions of other Indians. However, it is noticeable that Manaji is not bitter nor does she hold any animosity towards the government. Again, Manaji appears to accept the circumstances she finds herself, even if at times. Particularly when she thinks of her life in Rawalpindi, she became sad. Though what is really noticeable about Manaji's circumstances is now blunt the transition from Rawalpindi to Bombay. Apart from a new personal belongings, Manaji had to leave everything she worked for behind. Forced to start new life afresh in Bombay without the security she had in Rawalpindi, something that would have been same for many refugees during the partition of India. So this was a critical summary of the story Refugee. The whole story moves round the sufferings, sorrows of refugees at the time of the partitions. The whole story moves round the life of Manaji, the protagonist of the story.